Smallness is a good, good time. Neighbor, some little children. I mean, that's just really admire them. Smallness is still on their mind. Smallness is a good, good time. Neighbor, some little children. I mean, they singing and dancing, that's really admire them. Yes, they're singing. Ching, 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 ching. Get 10 fat chickens. And ask you for one. And she won't give me one. You see that girl named Dorothy. She fat like a butter. And she mama like a chow. Oh, smallness is still on my mind. Smallness is a good, good time. Never had some little children. I'm gonna sing and dancing, that's really admire them. What they're singing? On your carpet, you must be like the roses. All you need, bright and shining. You must be, and show me the one. Love the best. When I marry, I give you the ring. First the girls, second the boys. Sunday, Monday, afternoon. We will spend the honeymoon. Oh, smallness is still on my mind. Smallness is a good, good time. Neighbor, some little children. I'm gonna sing and dance, that's really admire them. Join the singing. Old man house on fire. The old man ran away. He ran for the police to get the water. He out the fire down there. Escalated, shoot, shoot, shoot. Escalated, shoot, shoot, shoot. And now wipes the lady face. The lady wipes the lady face. And she fell down, and she fell down, and she fell in the ocean too. Oh, smallness is still on my mind.
Yeah, my name is Jasnity Claudette Singh, Vietnam, and since 1965 I become a voter, and I always place my ex next to the cup. And what they are doing today, I can't take it. So I have no more vote to give to PPP anymore. I'm not going to vote anymore no more. If they have to lose by one vote, they're losing it by data.
Oh, Jesus Christ, if cost of living double, I don't know what happened. A pound of sugar is $300 already. Flour, everything gone up. Everything just raising. You gotta get about $40,000 for buy good ration. You gotta get 3 man now. A weekend man, a monthly man, and a fortnight man.
All right. Hey, guess what? It's afternoon. It's Tuesday. It's just about 59 minutes after 1 o'clock, and just before what it is. So hey, guess what's happening? We didn't get a chance to broadcast the demonstration in front of GECOM. Usually it's 8 persons, 7 persons, 9 persons. I don't know how many people turned out today, but this is very important because GECOM is the key. And you cannot have free and transparent elections if GECOM's house is not in order. And it's quite evident that GECOM doesn't want to do what is right. And the chairman of the Guyana Elections Commission, that's GECOM, is apparently is not doing what is right and is bending over towards the PPP. And the opposition, for some reason other than occasional conference and little press releases and so forth, they seem to be satisfied with that. But now our operator Lemon has indicated that we are going all the way to the United Kingdom, all the way somewhere there in London, and we will connect with Norman Brown, and Norman Brown. And then after this program, we're going to go into Rickford Burke. He has an announcement coming up at maybe right after we are done with this program here. but we have a packed 1 hour. Norman is under his umbrella. I am not sure if I wonder who's holding up that umbrella, whether it's Rihanna or whatever. Norman, good afternoon to you, mate. How are you?
Mark, Mark, thank you for having me. Thank you for having me. And it's
Yes,
a
yes.
pleasure. It's always a pleasure. I just want to say very quickly that for those who are watching, younger people who do not know the decades of your work, through the passage of through the passage of time, decades after decades, you have not inspired a generation. You have inspired generations, and you're still going strong. And so I'm honored and I'm privileged to be here on your program. For those who don't know, you have fought this struggle. You have been involved in protest action. You have been involved in confrontations with the wicked regime. And no one can recapture those years because you have walked that extra mile. And I'm honored and I am privileged. I have to repeat, I have to reiterate. I'm honored and privileged to be on your program. You are a pioneer and you are a sojourner, and this world must recognize you. The Guyanese world must recognize you for the contributions you have made to the struggle and continue to make to the struggle.
Yeah, thank you so much, Norman. I appreciate it indeed. And I recalled many years, is almost over 25 years ago, I first met you in
Yeah.
person in Linden. I'm not going to tell the folks that you were wearing a slippers at that time and I had on a yachting boots. And those were really, really long time. And I think we met
Yes.
on the protest line. That is, we met on the protest line in Linden.
And
We are
Ronald
still
Waddle
in the
was there.
struggle.
Ronald Waddle was there. The PPP killed him. If you recall, Ronald Waddle, when we were on the protest line, Ronald Waddle was there with us in person.
Yes. Waddle is no longer here with us as a result of a brutal, bloody PPP regime. Lots of other folks are not with us on earth as a result of the corrupt PPP regime. Norman and I don't oftentimes, well, not a lot of times, there's sometimes we disagree with each other. And there's sometimes I really want to book a flight and go to London to look for him. I was there in London recently, and people said Norman went into hiding. But sometimes we disagree on issues. But that's the nature of democracy. It's the nature of the struggle. But today, Norman, we want to talk on the lack of support in front of GECOM to bring the people out to address serious issues at the Guyana Elections Commission. Are you surprised that folks are not showing, especially the political leaders, are not showing much of an interest in addressing that issue?
Let me start by saying, Mark, let me start by saying that there seems to be something happening that the Guyanese people are not aware of. Our political leaders are very quiet. I don't know if it is because GCOM is in control of them. I don't know. Sorry, I don't know if it's because Exxon, is in control of them. I don't know if they are afraid to confront GCOM in a robust way. But what we are seeing, Mark, is a strange occurrence in relation to activities that should be profound in the confrontation by our leaders to ensure that GCOM put its act together. We are looking at a situation where we shouldn't expect or hope that elections will be won. If we do not do, if our leaders do not act in a collective manner and in a robust manner, you understand, to ensure that there is a clean voters list, to ensure that there's biometrics, to ensure that GCOM's act is together, where any elections that are called, that it would be free and fair and without interference. When we, in an oil-rich economy, where blacks suffer like dogs, where we are trampled on, and where we are struggling to find our rightful place within a level playing field that our people can benefit equally along with other ethnic groups. We see our leaders below lukewarm. We see our leaders inactive. We see our leaders inept. And we have to confront this situation, Mark Benchop, in the most, you know, powerful and vehement way. We have to confront this situation because here is a situation where we have an opportunity in a democracy to say, look, the world is watching us. America, Europe, the entire world is watching us, and they are intervening in the area of justice, in the area of rights. They're doing more, Mark Benchop, than our leaders are doing today. And we have to stand up now and make that call to our people, to the Guyanese people across ethnic lines, to say, you know what, maybe the trajectory, the status quo, whatever has been happening for decades with our leaders and how they operate, that it is time, Mark Benchop, for a new path to be etched. It is time.
You know, and people are thirsty for that sort of activism. Well said. And of course, people are thirsty for that sort of activism. They're not seeing it. It's absent. And regardless of how we try to package it, regardless of how we try to twist it and turn it, they're not seeing that sort of activism. They're getting some bites from the politicians in the opposition. People need more than just some bites. It is not just about where is Roysdale or where is Amanza. Where is the entire opposition for the most part? And let us not run away with emotions and personalized things. I notice someone is asking, where is Amanza? Where is they are not the elected leaders of the opposition. And so let us get that straight. And while I agree with the individual, where are those people? We need to see our leaders on the front line. And let us not individualize things. Let us not allow our bumps to raise and these things. Where are those people altogether? The leadership. We need to see the leadership of the AFC. We need to see the leadership of the PNC. We need to see opposition politicians doing what is right out there. I'm not saying that we've got to see them every single day or they have to be all over, but GECOM specifically is an important agency that needs to be addressed because of the level of allegations of corruption and the bloated list and all these things. In my opinion, it's just not being addressed. And I think you agree. If they are going to be objective, would agree that not enough is being done to address the issue, allegations of corruption and the bloated list at GECOM. Mr. Brown?
Mark, let me make this point very pellucid. Let me make this point. I want to be poignant when I express this view. If we look at recent history, the 2020 elections, we will understand that the political culture in Guyana requires almost every organization or institution to acquiesce to the domination of any ruling regime, any ruling party, any government in power. I recall, and this is my view, and I'm entitled to my view, it doesn't reflect the view of your program, but I believe that Claudette Singh chose democracy first. Whatever transpired during the 2020 elections would have caused fear to creep in to GECOM. And Claudette Singh, who would have tried in 2020 to uphold democracy, was abandoned. She was abandoned in the most wrong way. And doors were kicked down. The international community was involved in regime change. And the leaders who were in government that were facing regime change did absolutely nothing to repose confidence that Claudette Singh and GECOM would feel that we can't continue to fight for the democratic principles that are required in Guyana.
Let me pause you for a moment and ask this question with regards to Claudette Singh chose democracy on the side of democracy before all of with the installation of the PPP regime, but she was abandoned.
Before the installation.
Can you give an example? Why you think she chose? Why do you think she chose democracy and was abandoned? And if she was abandoned by whom?
She was abandoned by the coalition. I will say that I will make that lucid.
Okay, you said she chose democracy. What did she chose democracy?
I think that Claudette Singh knew. I think that Claudette Singh knew that there were interferences. She believed in the coalition. She believed in the Granger's administration. She saw the change that was brought about after 23 years. She saw peace. She saw the rule of law returning. She saw a lot of things. She is a brilliant legal mind. She's a brilliant legal mind, and she's a woman. She has been a woman of caliber. And Claudette Singh, if you will recall, Claudette Singh, they had to kick down the door of GECOM, the back rooms, to get to Claudette Singh because she was holding her ground. She was very, very fair in wanting to see democracy continue over the 3 to 5 years that the coalition government was in office. This was a woman who stood her ground in the midst of controversy, and our leaders that were embattled abandoned her. Barra Jagdeo, as I was thinking, Barra Jagdeo is no ordinary politician. He's an evil politician, but he's an astute politician. He's a smart politician, but he's a very wicked politician. And anyone who is in any position of influence in Guyana, if they have to fall at the feet of Barra Jagdeo, they will be crushed in the most pernicious way. And so I believe, in my honest opinion, and this opinion does not reflect your program, it is my opinion. I believe that Claudette Singh made a conscious and deliberate decision to ensure that our survival remains intact. I honestly believe that it's a woman that I've admired, it's a woman that I've always liked, but sometimes we look at the results of what we see before us. We look at the actions, we look at the manifestations and behaviors in the moment without understanding the reason why those manifestations, behaviors, and actions would have evolved. And I'm saying this, Mark, on your program, that there has been no hope coming from the opposition during that period and even now. Here we have GECOM. Claudette has crossed the floor, so to speak. She has taken a position that she's going to support the regime in what they are doing. She is ensuring our survival, our longevity, our place in an organization that is supposed to be independent, but that is interfered by the PPP civic government. Barajag is a ruthless leader. He's a ruthless leader. And
If I
our
may,
oh, Mark, 1 second.
we
Our
understand
opposition
he's not only ruthless, he's criminal minded. But go
is
ahead
criminal
before I.
minded. But here is the thing, Mark. Here is the thing. And I will come to you as in your sojourn as a political activist. Here is the thing, Mark. Barajag is ruthless, he's criminal minded, he's evil, he's wicked. But we have an opposition that seems to be unwilling, not unable, that seems to be unwilling to confront Barajag. The question is why? You, Mark Bishop, have put your family and your life on the line. Put your family and your life on the line. Your freedom you have put on the line through the history of Guyana struggles. Why are books not being written today? They wrote about Rodney. They wrote about all these people. The great poet from Guyana, and what's his name? That wrote "I Come from the Nigger Yard." All these people, they talk about Balram Singh Rai. They talk about Jagan. They talk about Burnham. They talk about all these people. Has history stopped? Has history stopped at that juncture? Because your
Let me say.
contribution to this struggle in the 21st century is a contribution that equals and equates the struggles of our founding fathers and all our leaders in Guyana. The point I wish to make here tonight, brother Mark Anthony Bishop, is this. The time has come for us to stop romanticizing our politicians. I know that our people are passionate for black liberation, and we are caught between a rock and a hard place, in which if our politicians falter, when we try to expose their inefficiencies, our people come out to say, it's dirty linen, it's we fighting our own leaders or whatever. And so there is a nexus that is kind of, it's kind of technical, that we have to tread carefully because we don't want to defeat the purpose of the struggle. That our people would see us as rabble-rousers and fighters against our own. But the time has come, Mark Anthony Bishop, when someone or others will have to stand up and say it, whether it is accepted or approved or received in a good way. I want to say this to you today on your program, straight up, because that's what this program is. And it is a program that has withstood the test of time in the political struggle of Guyana before oil. I want to say this to you. Our politicians in the opposition have become comfortable with feeling that our struggles for them, our struggles to ensure that they are placed in the position of power, is a struggle of privilege that we owe them. We owe them that we have to toil tirelessly against the PPP to put them in power and to make sure that they look good without any respect, without any thanks, or without any compensation. The time for that is over. It is over, Mark. You understand? There are billionaires, black politicians in Guyana that are seeking power. Some of them are from the middle class, from the upper class. They have no connection to the grassroots outside of their political meanderings, hypocritical posturings, you understand, among other fake behavioral traits trends and fashion. And the nexus between them and success in the political struggle is political activists like yourself, Rickford Burke. I don't want to mention myself because we Guyanese don't like people to self-praise. So I want to just say yourself, you as a leading pioneer in this struggle. Kadaki Amsterdam. I can't mention Dr. David Hines because he's now walking the political route. You understand? But there are people in the struggle that are putting their lives on the line to see the Aubrey Nortons, to see the Nigel Hughes, to see other politicians assume power. And the trajectory will continue based on the temperature of my understanding of what is happening. That even if they get into power, this process will continue, where the poor will continue to be poor. Because I believe, Mark, I believe before I let you ask the other question, I believe that our politicians have become comfortable with the historical status quo of wanting to feel that we are obligated to do what we're doing, even if we're hungry, even if our lives are put on the line, even if their threats are made of us, even if our freedoms are sacrificed. They have never even given us a penny with the billions that they have to say, continue the struggle. The thing about the PPP, as wicked and evil as it is, it invests in its supporters, in its voices, in its activists. Here we are, Mark Benshop, one of the most powerful Guyanese figures, Mark Benshop, of the 21st century in Guyana politics, in Guyana's struggle for liberation. This is not a liberation from colonialism. We have to ensure that the history is carried on. We write books, we have written books about our fight against colonialism. Why have we not written books? Our scholars that have been educated and that have been given the tools have not written books about the Mark Benshops, about the Rickford Burkes, about those brothers who have taken the baton like in a relay race. They have taken that baton, or we say relay stick, to continue to jump hurdles. Wait, history stopped there? History stopped there? So I'm saying this and I make it very clear. I'm not surprised that there is no serious action against GECOM by the opposition. I am not surprised that 4 and 5 people, 20 people are placed out there as some sort of hypocritical posturing to say that we are protesting GECOM. What is required is a robust act that brings the energies of our people across the country, recognizing the importance of fostering and continuing democracy by confronting GECOM in a collective way, in a robust way, in a way where thousands come out to ensure democracy. GECOM has to put its act together. Is Exxon, Mark, is ExxonMobil deciding for us now where the struggle goes, who becomes leader, who becomes recognized and worthy of leading? Is Exxon now deciding for the Guyanese people in an oil-rich economy what the future of our political sojourn will be? And I'm saying this to you and I mean it. I literally mean it. We are not countries in Africa that faced, accepted, and bowed to that kind of domination where our people receive less. We're not Trinidad, where black people have to pick up the guns and kill each other because the trickling of the wealth does not reach them, because they are discarded and removed from the foundations and pathways of the wealth that they have, that they deserve, and that they have put it down to ensure the country remains where it is to be. And now the wealth is there. We are sidelined, we are pushed aside, we are discarded. And what we have to do to eat, what we have to do to survive, like Trinidad, is to pick up guns, get involved in drugs, and kill each other for others who are benefiting from our violence against each other, from our destruction of each other. It will never happen in Guyana once I'm alive. It will never happen in Guyana once you are alive. It will never happen in Guyana once Burke is alive, Kadaki is alive. And I'm saying this, that the world must now recognize our place as activists in this struggle, because we are more significant in the present state of things than our political leaders. They depend on us to carry them. They depend on us to give them significance. They depend on us for the people to recognize their work. And they push us and cast us aside and do not acknowledge, recognize, or respect our struggles. And so GECOM is
before you get back to GECOM, 27 minutes. We just have a few minutes remaining.
Yes.
Because we have another to reassure you guys, a few of you guys who believe that the intention of this show is opposition bashing. That's one of the things we've got to move away from, that when we constructively and objectively pinpoint some of the weaknesses of the opposition, that it is being described as opposition bashing. The opposition, if it's bashing, well, then they need some bashing in order to wake them up. And so for some who are describing this as opposition bashing, well, maybe the time has come for opposition bashing in order to wake them up. It is called good bashing, loving bashing. That is what it is. The other issue, I've noticed Jaiwan Banduri, obviously stuck on a record. Jaiwan is no stranger to this program. Well, let me just say this about Jaiwan. Jaiwan said, y'all cussing Claudette now. She urged the flapping Granger twice to follow the electoral procedure. I don't know what electoral procedure Jaiwan is talking about, which is to swear in. I don't know who can be sworn in without a declaration. And if there was no declaration, how can you swear somebody in without a declaration? Jaiwan Banduri, whoever is feeding you in with this sort of misguided misinformation, you're showing your true colors, Jaiwan Banduri. Jaiwan Banduri, a regular contributor in the audience of this program. I like Jaiwan, but I've been watching Jaiwan. I know Jaiwan has an agenda. We know what that is all about. So Jaiwan, do not be misled. Anybody can be sworn in unless there is a declaration. If there is no declaration, how then do you expect someone to be sworn in? Let's be reasonable. Moving away from that now, getting back to what Mr. Norman Brown said, praising Claudette Singh, that Claudette Singh wanted to do what was right. And then there was somebody else in the audience that said, Mark felt the same way about Claudette Singh, that Brown is now saying. Prior to the elections, or even during the elections, and I've known Claudette Singh, I've known her for almost 30 years. I've been a court reporter in Guyana. I've worked the court. I knew her since she was appointed as a judge, young judge back then. I knew her long now. And when she was deprived of the opportunity to become the Chief Justice of Guyana, And when she made that ruling against the PPP to basically cause new
Yeah.
elections, fresh elections in 2001. I've been there all throughout there with Claudette Singh, so I know her. Now, during the course of elections, Claudette Singh um, had good intentions. There's no question about that. But something happened along the way. And I have been there with Claudette Singh almost every day, so to speak. And I've said this on numerous occasions. There were numerous phone calls from Claudette Singh daily during the course of elections and after elections, during the course of the recon process. And I would say that it was apparent then that Claudette wanted to do what was right. But somebody started to twist her hands. Somebody started to twist her hands. She became afraid and therefore went the other route.
Totally agree. Totally agree.
Now, let me say this. Claudette Singh, if she had good intention to rule in favor of democracy, then she would not have accepted a declaration or forced for a declaration that had all of these questionable votes inside. There were two, I believe, declarations or reports, sorry, not reports by the CEO, the chief elections officer. She refused to accept those credible reports from the chief elections officer. And anyone, chairman, and in this case, Claudette Singh, refusing to accept the credible report from the chief elections officer in order to make a proper declaration becomes questionable. That is where Claudette Singh became questionable. Her actions became questionable. She started to zigzag on many issues, not because of anybody didn't stand up for her, but she didn't do what she was supposed to have done in the interest of democracy. She dilly-dallied and she forced the CEO to submit a report with questionable votes. And based on that, I could never ever say that Claudette Singh meant well for democracy in Guyana. She has
Let me
used her power to hijack democracy and hand it in the hands of corrupt individuals a damn about Guyana. That's my view of Claudette Singh.
and Mark, I will not disagree with your view, but I have a differing view. And we have to agree to disagree. And I respect your view because I know where you are coming from as a fighter in the struggle. But let me say this to you. First of all, we have to recognize who Claudette Singh is. She's one of Guyana's most brilliant legal minds. The history of Claudette Singh before this political debacle was a woman who, in the legal institution of fraternity, that was undamaged. She was recognized. In fact, she was chosen because of her impartial nature to lead GECOM. She was chosen to lead GECOM because of her impartial nature, because of who she was recognized to be. Claudette Singh is an extraordinary Guyanese in the legal profession. Now, here where we have to differ. Guyana is not other countries where there is a semblance of right, where there is a behavioral trend nationally, institutionally, politically, economically, socially, where people adhere to certain norms, certain standards. Guyana is not that. Guyana is reduced to a brutal dictator named Jadio, who has decided the direction of that country for more than a decade and a half and continues to do so. So here is a situation where People got to live. People got to continue. More than losing a job, people got to be concerned about losing their lives. This is a woman. This is a woman who has lived her life at a standard for decades where no one could have pointed a finger to at her. Now she is thrown into the lion's den. And it is unfortunate that some black politicians have this attitude of a disconcern for those who struggle for them. It brings me back to my point about you and about others, including myself. A sort of dismissal of our sacrifices. I watched Claudette Singh aged after that debacle. I watched her age. You know what that means? It means that regardless of what you have said in terms of the decisions she made that cannot be forgiven by yourself and others, that our nature was stripped, our nature of principle was stripped. And so though she has made a decision that we don't agree with, we are looking to see if she has flourished, she's enjoying it, she's, bouncing and flouncing. They have ripped that woman's soul away from her. They've ripped her soul away from her. And she had to acquiesce to the PPP because we did not do, meaning the leaders of the coalition, did not do what was right for her and for us. And I'm saying this because I have to be very truthful and objective in my deliberations, because these programs stay forever and the students of history will examine them and they will fine-tune them and they will tweak them and they will break them down and look at every facet of their manifestations to arrive at whether we're talking nonsense or not. Let me tell you something. I've always loved Claudette.
Before you get to that, let me just say we just have a few minutes more. There's another program that we have to join, and I'd like to give some risk. But let me just say this to you that people show their true colors, and you don't recognize individual. And not because one's back is against the wall mean that you basically have to surrender and sell your soul. In my opinion, Claudette Singh knew exactly what she was doing. She had an opportunity to do what was right. She refused to do what was right. She succumbed to individuals for personal reasons. And those personal reasons I've outlined, some of them, she was more concerned about her visa. She was more concerned about personal gains. And no matter what those in the opposition, no matter what they probably would have done, Claudette Singh had her mind made up. And so she not only sold the nation out, but I continue some years, personally and so forth, for 20-something years. And it is not easy for me to make a decision on someone like this.
Yes.
I believe she sold the nation out, and for personal reasons. Mr. Brown, we've got to go to some
our longevity, Mark. I think it's our longevity. But yeah,
program indeed.
Go ahead. She was preserving our longevity. I think she was
because sometimes when you look back and
go ahead, Mark.
Yeah, so we will continue with this discussion on another occasion, but we have to definitely go over. I think Burke has some other story he wants to talk about. Claudette Singh has shown her true colors, and it pains me to years, and that I thought that would have done what was right, not for herself, but for the nation. There has been rumors that she wanted to swear in Granger. She wanted it. Those are just rumors. only catered for those who are interested in spreading that sort of rumors. There's no Norman, it's a pleasure. Don't be a stranger.
Mark,
We'll be back
thank you
soon,
very
probably
much
in the coming
for this
days to
brief
discuss
moment.
more
Thank you
issues.
very much for
Let me just say that this is not anti-opposition. I am with the opposition. I dedicate,
I am too.
of course, to the detriment of the station itself against. I'm not afraid to say that. So I am not here like the opposition or because I want to bash the opposition. I want to see the opposition do well. But the opposition, the leaders within the opposition, they've got to be brave to go out there and confront these issues. That is what this is about.
Yes.
But thanks. We've got to go over to the other
Mark,
platform.
thank you for having me. Pleasure, and I'm honored to have been on your program. Thank you so much. We're going across the Rickford now.
Yeah, thank you guys, and thank you,
so much.
Norman. Appreciate it. And you guys heard the news quickly, right? You guys heard that Prima Rupnarain is set to be the new HR manager for GRA. The new HR manager for GRA. She was charged in 2017, with two others, $400 million fraud at the GRDB, the Guyana Rice Development Board. And so she was deputy permanent secretary for finance over there. And the corruption, she found some luck in the court and the matter was dismissed. And then she moved on to become the permanent secretary of the Ministry of Human Services. Up until July of this year, she resigned. Nobody says why she resigned, but there are lots and lots of speculations, lots and lots of allegations. Again, allegations of corruption. Allegations, mind you. I'm not saying she's corrupt. Allegations. And the PPP remained quiet on that issue of why she resigned. The Minister of Human Services, Dr. Vindhya Singh, is silent on why she has resigned. Lo and behold, a few weeks after, guess what? According to sources, she's now the HR manager at the Guyana Revenue Authority. And according to information, lots of people are upset by this move. They see this move to be a racial move in a sense, because there are lots of qualified folks right there at GECOM who have been bypassed. And they're Prima Rupnarain, her controversial husband, Romel Rupnarain, they must be laughing all over the back, huh? Po Guyana. I've got to go, guys. Check Rickford Burke. He got some information there for you guys. Maybe I'll join his platform for a few minutes.